Hello, welcome to the Quakes Motel. My name's Conan, I'm the concierge. Today we're looking at another old school technique for your samplers. Very, very easy, very straightforward. People that use it in hip hop would be Alchemist, MF Doom big time, Madlib, J Dilla, bunch of other people, but also in house music, club music as well. People like Daft Punk, Todd Terry, Kenny Dope. The list goes on. Very simple technique. Let's jump in. So I think the easiest way to explain and kind of go through the history as we go is to jump straight into the MPC. Now, with your drum sounds in your MPC and also your chops, if you go into Program Edit, you have the option of one shot, note off, note on. Now, most samplers nowadays, and this is the reason why I kind of think this technique has been forgotten, they default to one shot. Now, the reason I think that probably is because if you're chopping samples up, you have mute groups nowadays. You understand that I'm not going to go into that, sorting out mute groups, etc. But basically, most samplers nowadays have mute groups. And with mute groups, you can have it set to one shot. You'll hit your chop. When you hit the next chop, it will cut out the previous chop if you've got your mute group set up properly. So I think nowadays most people tend to just have things set to one shot. And with your drums as well, you hit your snare drum, it plays the sample all the way through, etc. You don't have the issue with polyphony as much as you used to with older samplers. So basically one shot tends to be the default in samplers. Not always, but it does tend to be. Now the reason why we used to have note on, what we used to use the option note on with samplers like the 2000, the 2000 XL, the 3000, the 60, etc., was to do with polyphony, was to do with the fact that we didn't really have mute groups. You did have mute groups in the XL, but it's very limited. So we tended to use the note on technique, and we would play the sample for the duration that we wanted to play it. Again, polyphony would come into it. So by playing it just for the duration, you didn't get the problems that you would have with the one-shot sample overplaying and then being overlapped by the next sample, etc. So we became very skillful at playing the pad at the exact amount of time that it needed to be for an eighth beat or a quarter beat. You also got very good at dividing up the number 960. I'm not going to go into why that is. Look into it. But we also got very good at dividing 960 into, quarters. So you had 240, 480. You just kind of got to know those numbers, or 24, 48 into 96. Because with step edit, that's how long you would change the duration if you wanted your notes to play in quarters or eighths or sixteenths, etc., etc. It's a really long, in-depth thing that I'm not going to go massively into. But basically, we used note on in those days because we didn't have mute groups. Now, because you do have mute groups nowadays on almost all samplers, we tend to have one shot because we don't really have to worry about it. However, you can have some real fun and you can really capture that old school sampler sound with with note on. With some of the really early samplers that I used, like the Yamaha VSS keyboard, the Casio SK1, I think it was, you didn't have the option of one shot. You literally had note on. So if you want to capture that kind of sound, and this is where MF Doom comes into it. Again, I'm not going to go into too much history on him, but MF Doom, if you listen to his beats, especially the earlier stuff, the kind of, his most well-known stuff, I guess, and Madlib on Mad Villainy and stuff, because they were using the SP303 and things like that, they would have the note on technique in their drums. And if you want to capture that kind of sound, if you're really into MF Doom and you're into Madlib and you're into J Dilla as well, he used it. Somebody who used it more modern nowadays is an Australian guy called Your Best Friend Jippy. I've been listening to him a lot lately, and he's actually the reason why I'm making this video, because I heard some of his drum programming on his beat tapes. He's more kind of like 2015 onwards, I think, 2017 onwards. I heard him using the note on effect on his drums, and I thought, oh, you know what, I really forgot about that technique, because I'm the same as everybody else. I have it as default. It's on one shot. You just play it. You don't worry about mute groups. You don't worry about polyphony. Now, I think, although no one really knows very much about Your Best Friend Jippy, I'm hoping that by chance he might watch this video and he might pipe in and let us know. But I think he probably uses an SP of some sort. maybe a 404 Mark II, maybe a newer one, or maybe he uses an older one. Just by the kind of sound of his beat tapes, the way that things are programmed, and the overall sound, there's a kind of roundness that you get from those Roland SP samplers that doesn't sound like any other sampler to me. It's from using the vinyl sim and the compressors in it, etc. Anyway, well, I'm not going to go into that too much, but he was the reason that I'm making the video, because I remembered that technique again. Now, it's a technique that I used to use a lot, but I have forgotten to use lately. So the way that you can use it, also, I just want to point out as well, and I'll show you in a second, it isn't just hip-hop producers. House producers use it a lot. Daft Punk, Todd Terry, etc. They all use it. Kenny Dope. So let's say, for instance, like normally we'll start with a house beat first. Normally you would have, let's say, a 909 hi-hat. Everyone knows that. Now, if you go change it to note on, it's only going to play for the duration that you hold it down. So you can have some real fun with that, with house music. Daft Punk use it a lot. I'll show you a technique that they use in a second. A lot of the French house guys do, DJ Falcon, Alan Brax, etc. They use it. I think they use the SP1200. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure I've seen a video with Falcon using an SP1200. So that's changing the 909 to note on. So if we come out, I've made a quick house beat here using the Craig's Motel Kit 01, which is available on Bandcamp. Shameless advertising there. It's been selling really, really well, by the way. So thank you to everybody that's bought it. I really appreciate it. So quick house beat. Now, what you would normally have on a house beat, you know, normally. That's what we all know. Now, the technique which Daft Punk tend to use is they would do some shorter ones and then a longer one. So they would do something like this. Combination of those kind of things, slightly longer, slightly shorter. So that's a really good way to kind of get that French house sound. Now, Todd Terry would use it slightly differently. He would use it as a closed hat and an open hat and kind of play it live. So, I mean, obviously he'd quantize it, but he'd play it in live. I mean, that's a classic one, that but. That's classic Todd Terry with the 909 hat. So you can see very, very quickly that it's a very simple technique, but it can have some really, really good effects, especially in house music. Okay, so now jumping into a hip hop style beat. I'm not reinventing the wheel here or anything. I've laid down a kick and some hi-hats so that I can then play a snare drum over the top. Okay, so I've got a bunch of snares. Going to use that one, and I'll tell you why. That's what I call a Pete Rock snare. It's got quite a big tail, bit of reverb on it, so it's going to be more noticeable. So I'll be able to demonstrate the technique. Go into your program edit. You've got your one shot. Make sure you've got your sample selected, and then change it to note on. Straight away, you get that staccato kind of snare drum sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play the beat and then play a couple of different snare type sort of things over the top. They're going to be real like MF Doom, Madlib style kind of things. I mean, if you listen to early MF Doom, every single one of those that I've just done, he's used. Absolutely. Probably on an SP303, but possibly an X2000 XL, because he did use a 2000 XL as well. That is just MF Doom all day long. So it's not as noticeable when you've got really, really short snare drums, but you can still get some expressiveness out of it. And, you know, it's not... The point of it is that old school flavour, it's not about trying to get it to sound exactly like a real snare drum. You know, I'm not trying to get it, you know, get those subtle nuances that you get when you just lightly touch the snare drum, etc. That's not the point. The point is that you're getting that old school sampler kind of sound and that old school programming that people like MF Doom, Dilla, Madlib did in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, that, you know, that really, to me, just sums up Doom. You know, if you listen to his instrumental albums, the Food albums, for instance, listen to the drum programming on that, you'll hear that all over it, that note-on type of snare drum thing. So there you have it, simple technique, and you can take it wherever you want to go with it. You know, obviously I didn't do it on samples, chops, instruments, etc. But you can get that same kind of old school staccato sound that people like Doom and Madlib and etc. get. And you know, you could take it anywhere you want. You know, it's really good on any kind of drum sounds with a lot of reverb on. You can get some nice effects with it. But even, you know, synth sounds, bass sounds, you can just add a little bit of, to me, it just adds that old school sampler sound. Not just this, I'm not talking about the sonics, I'm talking about the way that you used to program old samplers. And, you know, quite often people will say to me, you know, I with my SP1200 or my SP303, I still can't get it to sound like people like Madlib, people like MF Doom. And quite often it's doing something as easy as that. They're concentrating so much on the sonics of the sound, but they're not really concentrating on the different techniques that you can use to actually program your sounds. And it takes you out of your comfort zone, which is what I like about it, because we're so used to having one shot, loads of polyphony, and mute groups, and not having to worry, not having to think, not having to plan out, oh, I need to hit that sound there because, and I need to play it for that duration because I can't let it overlap with that sound because I'm going to run out of polyphony, or it's going to slightly go over because of the way the chop is. You know, we get lazy. We've got lazy because of one shot polyphony and mute groups. So what this does is it puts you back in that frame of mind of it makes you. So it makes me anyway, it makes me really have to plan things out, and it makes me commit to things rather than be lazy with that, just, you know, that, I hit this, just one shot polyphony, and who cares, not me. It's a good rhyme there. It wasn't supposed to be. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. And, you know, from listening to a lot of your best friend Jippy recently and noticing that he uses it in the way that he programs, it did make me think, hey, do you know what? That's a technique which I haven't used for years that I'm going to start using in my beats again. And it made me go back to listening to Doom, Madlib, etc., and realizing that simple technique, did they do it out of necessity, or did they actually really think about it and think, actually, do you know what? I'm going to use this to make the drums go da 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 da, or was it the polyphony mute groups thing? Who knows? Who cares? But it's a fun technique. So thanks for watching. This is the Craig's Motel. I don't know why I just did that then. So thanks for watching. This is the Craig's Motel. My name's Conan. I'm the concierge. Till next time.
Concierge.